What's going on, brothers and sisters? I want to welcome you guys to Listener Feedback, episode number 52. And in this episode will be starring a brother who has been writing in consistently and calling over a month straight, Mr. C. Jack. I really appreciate your contributions, my brother. The calling, the writing in with the emails. I am very, very appreciative, and I can't wait to get into your thoughts. We also have the OG, Triple OG, who has been here for a very long time. That's why I call him that. We have yet again for another consistent week, Mr. Cody Clark. Man, I'm going to tell you, the email that you sent me this week, it is very interesting, and I can't wait to get into it. But with that being said, if you, the listener, want to be a part of the next listener feedback, you can do it two different ways. You can either call in at 667-284-9057 and let your voice be heard, or you can email the show. And the email address is simply theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Now, with that being said, last week I tried this. I didn't do it quite the way that I wanted to, so I want to start the show off like this. You guys know that I told y'all that we would be bringing something back that hadn't been done on the show for a couple of years. And I was very excited to get back into it. And I did it, unfortunately, at the end of the show last week because nobody seemed to have called in about it. So I want to reintroduce what we used to call the giveaways. Yes! It is the prize giveaways coming back, and we always used to do this, and it would be in the form of gift cards. So this is just me saying thank you to you guys for being here. So with that being said, get your pens ready, get your paper ready, and get ready to write down this code for $25 on the PlayStation Store. So here we go. The code is 7MM67. We have a R as in Ralph, A as in Apple, 7, T as in Tony, 6, 7, and B as in Bob. Write that down, and all I ask, brothers and sisters, is when you do this, when you redeem the code, all I ask is that you let me know that you redeemed it, so that way I can shout you out. I can let everybody know, that the code has been used and nobody else has to find this episode, maybe at a later time, try to put the code in and it's already been used. I just want you guys, if you could, that's the only stipulation I ask. That was the reason why we had actually stopped doing it at one point in time, because nobody was letting me know that they were getting the code. So I figured it was two different lines of thought. One, I'm like, well, golly, I can't let everybody else know that the code has been used or not used. And that was a bit of a hurdle. Somebody else might use it at a later time, and somebody else might try to use it at a later time, and it's no longer available. And it makes me look like I'm lying out here. And that's the last thing I want. And the second thing that I thought was, well, maybe they don't want it. Maybe the listeners are not really fond of the $25 gift cards or anything like that. So maybe you just need to fall back. So because of the unbelievable, consistent support and just the numbers, going up even more since I've been, back at it, I just wanted to try it again because when I say that I appreciate you guys, you brothers and sisters, for being here, I really, really mean it. So hopefully you guys know that, when it comes down to the gift cards that I'm just trying to give back to you guys. I know it's not a whole lot. I know $25 it is what it is. It can get you maybe almost an indie game. Now, if you're trying to get, what's that new game that just came out on the, on Game Pass? Oh, man, I forgot. It's the indie game, but it's $20. It will get you that if you want it. But, at least the 25, it'll be something that you can put towards maybe one of these dozens of games that we have coming out this year. So, again, if you are the winner, if you redeem this code, all I ask is either email me or call me to let me know that you redeemed it. So that's about it on that. And I would love to keep this going, but it truly is just going to depend on you guys. So if y'all are receptive to it, we'll keep it going. And you guys got to let me know what platforms y'all are playing on. See, Jack, I know you on the PC, my brother, so I know about you. Cody Clark, I'm not sure. I think you're on the PC as well. Crimson, you have to let me know where you're at, brother. And, everybody else, Glovebox, shout out to you. Glovebox got everything, so he ain't tripping on any of the different consoles. So, but yeah, I just want to hear from you guys. What cards do you want me to get? That way I can evenly distribute them to everybody that's on different platforms, every month. So with that being said, though, let's go ahead and let's get into the emails that came in this week. And I'm going to start with you, C-Jack. I'm going to start with your email here, my brother. And let me see if I can find it, because I'm about to pull it up right now. Here we go. All right, the title of C-Jack's email is "The Water Might Just Be Too Deep." I believe C-Jack is talking about whether or not Xbox will actually make their games exclusive, because that was the big talk last week. And let's see what C-Jack thinks. He says, I don't know, man. I just think that they have already invested millions and millions to go the other way. But really, the bottom line is they make too much money not to make great games regardless. That is very true. And I'm going to tell you something, C-Jack. Like I said, brother, I'm still playing Senua's Saga right now. Whoo, that game is so good, man. Hey, C-Jack, I'm telling you, a game that I did not, I was high on it because it's Ninja Theory. You guys know I've always spoken very highly about Ninja Theory. I think they're a very talented, very capable studio to do great things. And when I heard about Senua's Saga, I said, man, this was one game that I was really looking forward to. And let me say this, the reviewers, like I said, it got like a 80 on Metacritic. It's sitting at a 80, which is a solid score. So I have to stop saying I don't know why people thought it was so bad. It wasn't necessarily the reviewers per se. It was a few in there that thought that it regressed, but it was the user score that was kind of low on the game Senua's Saga. So I'm actually falling more in line with the actual reviewers than the users, because so far the game has only continued to be well done, in my opinion. And I understand it's not a big, expansive, wide open, open world kind of game. It is a very, very narrative driven, very narrative story focused kind of, I would say, I guess, how can I say it? It's just that kind of experience, so I'm not expecting any more or less than what they've given me so far. So far, what they've given me, I'm like, wow, it actually has been exceeding my expectations. So I'm just saying that to say, C-Jack, that I think that these guys have it together when it comes to making good games. I know you said great games, C-Jack, and we need greatness. We need greatness from these guys, but they seem to be on a very good track record, because when you go back, C-Jack, we went over this a couple of weeks ago, and they were in the number 5 slot when it came to best Metacritic rated games on that list. They were ranked number 5. They beat Nintendo and they beat Sony, and they beat them convincingly at that. Beat them convincingly, C-Jack. I think Nintendo was in the 12th, maybe the 13th spot, and Sony was like 20-something. 21st or 22nd. So they have really come into their own. Now I understand they got a whole lot of IPs. They got a lot of them, but I'm just saying that to say, C-Jack, I think that they could have things much better on track. I mean, Gears of War, that's going to be a big one. Fable, that's going to be a big one. So far, Forza hasn't let anybody down. They got that coming out, in May, I believe. They have, what's the other game that they released? I forgot they released, that wasn't their game, the Claire Obscure. That wasn't their game per se. It was just inside of Game Pass. But they seem to be getting better, C-Jack. So I'm really very hopeful, I'll say, for the future of Xbox. It seems like they're getting a cadence together. They're bringing out multiple games in a year. And the games actually seem to be good. Again, we have, what's the game? Oh, man. It just came out. South of Midnight on PS5. It just came out. It came out last year on the series, the Xbox Series X and S. But even that game, I mean, C-Jack, I'm going to look it up right now, brother. We'll see what the Metacritic score is on that. Just for how can I say? Just for the sake of this conversation, let's see what it's sitting at. What is South of Midnight's Metacritic score? Let's see what we get, C-Jack.
South of Midnight is currently sitting at a 75 on PC, which Metacritic classifies as generally favorable. While the score is solid, reviews show a pretty clear divide between the game's artistic presentation and its actual mechanics. Here's the breakdown of how critics and users have received it. The score breakdown: Metascore 75 PC and roughly 74 to 76 on Xbox Series 10. User score.
All right.
On a 6.8, reflecting a mixed or average reception from the community. What critics are saying, the general consensus is that the game is an artistic triumph, but a mechanical lightweight, the highs.
Joker said it's a little light. Little lightweight when it comes to the mechanics. So overall, C-Jack, and pardon me for the audio not coming through clearer earlier, but it's saying that the Metacritic on PC is 74 to 76 on Xbox Series, but the user score, here we go with the user score again, is 6.8. So it seems like the critics, they actually think it's a solid average game. But critics are users are like, that joke is just average, 6.8. So that's a little rough. But at least it's not like a 5 or a 4. Like Gollum. What was it? The Gollum game that came out, the Lords of the Rings Gollum or whatever it was. That game was horrid. So at least they don't have too. Oh, man, it's hard to say, man. They don't have too many, super bad games. It's just the problem with Xbox has been that their games have been mediocre to average for too long. And I think that is really changing, though, C-Jack. I think that they're really going to get it together. They are getting it together, and I think that this next set will have a lot of data to go off of to see if their trajectory is going in a more positive direction, which I believe it is. I know that Starfield isn't for everybody, but it wasn't a complete flop. It wasn't like a horrible game when it was rated. When it first came out on Xbox, it had some problems. Definitely had some problems. But it wasn't like it was a 5 or a low 6 or something like that. It seemed like it was a pretty solid game at the end of the day. Avowed, I don't know what Avowed was. I can look that up real quick, C-Jack, because man, when y'all write in, I just like to spend time. So, I'm not in a rush. Let's see what Avowed got. What was the Metacritic score for Avowed? And it didn't even bring it up. Hold on. Here we go with this nonsense. All right, let's see. Avowed. AVOW. Metacritic score. Let's see what that one got, C-Jack, because I see these things when they happen, and I forget. My memory is horrible. So Avowed, that scored. Avowed currently holds a Metacritic score of 80 on Xbox Series X and 79 on PC. So doggone, it did better on the console than it did on PC. So yeah, that's what I'm saying, C-Jack. So again, another solid score, 80. 80 is a good score. It's hard, man. I'm going to tell you something. I think people, not you particularly, C-Jack, not you at all, brother, but I think that in general, people think that it's usually like 90 or bust. Like if a game isn't a 90, that joint does not exist to them. It's a bad game. It's hard to get 90s out here in the gaming space. Not everybody is Rockstar. Not everybody is Naughty Dog. You know, not everybody is Sony Santa Monica. Those jokers, man, Insomniac, it's hard to be that talented. And I think that sometimes we just kind of forget it's just some games that are just going to be decent and good. 80 is a very good score. You know, but matter of fact, I think I'm going to make that the question of the week. I think I'm going to word it better, but it'll be along the lines of what score does a game need to get in order for you to try it? Somewhere around there. So that's just a heads up for the upcoming episode on Wednesday. I'm going to word it a little better than that, but that's what we'll talk about. But yeah, C-Jack, brother, I'm hoping though. This is the thing. I am hoping that they continue to get it together. They keep the trajectory going in a positive direction, because they definitely need it. If they can get great games out there, C-Jack, I think that's all they need. Because most of the time, the thing that is going to convince most people to go out and get a console is the games. What is the gaming library on your console? And if they do that, and if they can get the exclusives back, my goodness, I know, C-Jack, you said they have spent millions upon millions of dollars on these things, and you just don't know if they can get themselves out of it. They are in some deep water, as it were. But I think that, of course, I don't think that Satya Nadella is going to do it, C-Jack. I don't think he's going to let Asha Sharma make the games exclusive, but I would hope that he would at least try. Maybe try it just to see what happens. But those millions, they make a lot of money, C-Jack. They do make a lot of doggone money. And that may be the determining factor at the end of the day. You know, most of the time, most things are done because of the money. You know, forget integrity, forget, just trying to build something, maybe brick by brick and continue to build it, even though Xbox has been built up. I'm just saying that, not everything should be about money. You should have some self-respect for yourself and your brand and not just sell it to everybody. Goodness gracious, man. Make sure that you're looking out for your consumer, your customer first, instead of, just spreading the love to everybody. That's all I'm saying, C-Jack. But we'll definitely see what happens. Hey, listen, man, June is coming up. It's going to be some big announcements. Maybe we see Gears of War is exclusive to Xbox. I'm hoping it is. I'm rooting for it to be. I'm telling you, I'm hoping that and Fable actually end up being Xbox exclusive and not timed exclusive forever. That's what I'm hoping, because even though, like I say, I'm a PlayStation owner, C-Jack, I still don't want these lines to be crossed. I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. It's terrible. It is horrible to me that this is happening. But this is unfortunately what we are up against at the moment. But we'll see, C-Jack, what happens in the upcoming months, because things can change. They can most certainly change. It just determines on whether or not it will. But we'll see, my brother. But C-Jack, I want to thank you for this email, and don't worry, I'm going to get to your phone call in just a minute, which I truly appreciate. So thank you, C-Jack, for this one, my brother. All right, we got Mr. Cody Clark. He's up next, and the email that he sent, man, you know this good brother right here. He gonna send me a biography. Y'all know he is. So this is the thing. I want to just, pretty much let you guys know the overview, because Cody be putting a lot of information in these emails, and I really appreciate it. So this is basically what Cody's email is going to entail. So he's going to be discussing the Stop Killing Games movement, and he's going to talk about how it lacks substance, ignoring licensing and ownership issues. So we're going to be talking about the Stop Killing Games movement that's going on out here in these gaming streets. So Cody says, now the title of his email, the title of the good brother Cody Clark's email is, I'm going to find it. Hold on. Oh, I got it. It's called Stop Killing Me, Smalls.
Shut up. You're killing me, Smalls.
Here we go, Mr. Cody Clark. He says, I get the Stop Killing Game movement. I really do. It took them forever to update their blasted site. At least it has some meat on the bones. Now the email, not the email, but the website is www.stopkillinggames.com. So if you guys want to check out the website, you can do so at your own leisure. So he says, that being said, a lot of their movement has no substance. Their statements to the EU can be summed up as, quote, we want Corps to stop needlessly shutting down games and not refunding people, and to figure it out themselves, end of quote. Man, that's crazy. See, this is what I'm going to do, Cody. I'm going to have to go through each one of your paragraphs and try to answer something, because I know I'm not going to be able to answer every single thing overall. So I'm going to have to take this bit by bit. So that's interesting. Yeah, we've known games have been shutting down for forever. Online, offline, discontinued, no longer available. That is, now I'm not saying it's a good part of the industry, but that is something that happens in the games industry. So, I'm interested to get into more of this email. He says they don't provide any plans. They don't touch on ownership. Now, that's crazy. That's the main thing I would think, that they will want to continue to have ownership over what they are buying. But he says they don't bring up things like third-party licenses, etc. There are so many holes, and I am just like, I get it. I want to save games too. Let's look at just a couple examples to keep this open and clear. He says The Crew, I think we're all familiar with The Crew, the racing game. He says, we get it. Got shut down. In the game you have. Oh, it says in the game you have the engine. In this case, it is the Ubisoft owned and heavily modified version of the Dunia engine. Cool. They own, can do what they want. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, they've made it. We understand. And I know my guy, shout out to Crimson Phoenix. He always gets on me, Cody, about, man, I know you want the disc and all that, but you don't own nothing. You don't own the game. And I get it. Sometimes, they shut it down. It's over, especially if it's an online game. You can consider that thing done. But okay, so we got The Crew. He's talking about the engine is Ubisoft. They owned it, heavily modified version. Talking about the engine, they cooled down. Okay, I got it. He says the music, Coda Boom, The Glitch Mob, Animus Vox, 8 Radio, Brick Plus Mortar Bang, K Beef, MOP, Annie Up. Oh yeah, Annie Up. I know about that, brother. Now for a single player game, Never Online. They have one kind of license, but if it's online or Steam Table, music companies want a different license, and many charge per year, not a one-time fee. So this is interesting too. And I think we all are kind of aware of this, but even the music licensing, when it comes down to these different games, it is only for a certain amount of time that you have the license. And once the license is up, you got to either renew it or you got to shut it down or take it off. And that's why a lot of games don't exist as well. I know about that licensing music stuff too. I know quite a bit, but I know about it. Yeah, the license is only for so many years or for so long before you got to renew it. So yeah, if it's a situation with that, you're talking about MOP, the Glitch Mob, Robin Hood's Theory. Well, that's Annie Up. Yeah. 8 Radio, any of these artists, they're going to have to go to the record label, go there, maybe Priority Records or whoever it may be, cut a deal with them. Hey, look, I need to put this song into the game. We'll have it for this many years. And then once that time frame is up, maybe we can come back to the table and try to renegotiate and see what happens. But what happens, though, when the game doesn't really perform the way that they wanted it to? Let's say they lose money, because we know a ton of these games, unfortunately, are losing everything. So much so that the studios are shutting down. So why would an exec go back over, try to renew a music license with this record company when the game was a flop? It's like, darn, I'm not going to do that. That would just be a bad investment. We never got the investment back out of the game to begin with. So why would I go back to them and try to invest more? And that's where the big problem can come in. It's anyway, I don't want to jump the gun, Cody, because you might be covering some of the stuff I was about to say, but let's keep on going. So he goes down to the models for cars. He says they don't just get to use Mustangs if they want. See Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, Grand Theft don't never use any real cars. Man, them jokers, it might look like the real car, might be very similar, but it is not a BMW. It is not a Ferrari. It is not an Aston Martin. None of those things. They making up their own doggone names. So, yeah, but let's get into your email a little bit more with this models for cars here, Cody. He says they gotta pay a continual license. Yes, if the company drops the game, they don't have to pay. So again, that's what it is. If they have to, and that's what goes on with Forza. We know this already. When it comes to Forza, these different models, that's why they get discontinued as well. The car model license runs out and they don't want to renew it. It's like, but I think that Cody, you would have to correct me if I'm wrong, good brother. But whenever you actually have the game itself, whether it's the disc or it's downloaded, you actually can still go back and play the game. You just can't get it back off of the store, again, if I'm not mistaken. But you would have to definitely let me know, though, Cody. Look forward to hearing from you, my brother. But yeah, so yeah, if they don't want to renew the license or anything like that for Mustang or any of these cars, then they don't have to pay. The license runs out. That's it. Let's keep it moving. I get it. Now, he says, who is picking up those checks if EA or Ubi or whatever stops? That's true. That's true, because I highly doubt. And that's the thing that I don't think we ever want to really talk about. We understand that these companies have millions upon millions, some cases billions of dollars. But if they no longer want to support it, would you, the game player, actually say, you know what, I'll pick up the tab. Look, it's a game that I play. Look, all of us, we can come together. We can pay however much it costs to actually get this license back, and we'll pay it out of our own pocket. I highly doubt that would be the case. I don't think that anybody would be lining up to say, man, I love this game so much that I want to put my money up for it to make sure that we can keep these cars. I highly doubt it. But who am I? He says, let me see. He says, what stops Ford from being like, quote, we had a deal with Ubi. You don't have that deal. You can't use that Ford E whatever. Pay us. Yeah, it's all about the money. You can't use it. Look, we had a license. It is what it is. If you're not paying, it ain't staying. So pretty much that. He says another example, Warhammer Online, RIP, says EA ran that and it's no longer available. When it was getting shut down, we wondered why it was not going to get rolled over like Dark Age of Camelot or Ultima. Well, that was because Games Workshop had a sweet mother of a deal with Mythic before EA bought them that EA had agreed to. We thought internally that the license was $1 million a year. Can't confirm, but Google says this. I don't trust Google, but it fits the narrative. I hear you. Hey, man, you can't always trust it, but I use Google probably too doggone much. But this is the thing. If it was that, okay, let me, matter of fact, let me read this again. I want to make sure that I understand, because sometimes, Cody, you'll be sending me emails and I'll listen back to how I answered, and I'm like, dag, I didn't really answer the question that well. So he says, and pardon me for reading it over again, guys, but he said, another example, Warhammer Online, rest in peace, says EA ran that and it's no longer available. Yeah, that joke is gone. He said, when it was getting shut down, we wondered why it was not going to get rolled over like Dark Age of Camelot or Ultima. Well, that was because Games Workshop had a sweet mother of a deal with Mythic before EA bought them that EA had to agree to. We thought internally, okay, that the license was $1 million a year. Sheesh. All right, so now I get it. So you're saying that in order for them to continue with this game, this Warhammer Online, they would have had to pay $1 million a year to, work? Let me see. I just saw the name of it because I know it's the Warhammer, the board game manufacturer. What is their name? Camelot. Games Workshop, that's it. So you're telling me, Cody, that they would, and I know you said you can't confirm or deny, but according to Google, they were going to have to pay Workshop $1 million a year in order to just keep the license going. And that's not including how much it would be to keep it online, to keep the servers up, things of that nature. That is $1 million a year. And I know some of y'all would be like, man, please, these companies got billions. But if the game is not that successful, because obviously the numbers just didn't make sense online, or I'm sure EA would have kept it, but that is a lot of doggone money. Again, here it is, another game that was online. If it was up to the players, if it was up to the gamers to keep this up, $1 million a year, how many of y'all would be dipping into your own money to keep it going? That's the question. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I think that if it is something that people want, then they should spend the money on it if it's something that they value. And let's say a company doesn't value it, but you do, and you have the means to be able to do so. Why not? Why not? But would you is the bigger question. Would you do it? Me, myself, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something, Cody, right now, my good brother. I always would think or would like for the big companies to fit the bill. I definitely would. I'm never going to say, hey, if we got to fit the bill, let's do it. No, but what I am saying is, if you ask me, that's who I want to fit the bill, Cody, every single time, my brother. But if it's a situation, because everything does have context, and if the context is this game is not very successful, they're not making money off of the IP, they're drowning in debt when it comes to this IP, if it's a situation where people actually really value it and they want to continue to play, keep it online, to keep the community going, then it becomes a situation where, well, if you really want this and we're not willing to put our money up on it, but if you want to keep it going, this is how much it's going to be. This is what it's going to cost you guys per person. Are you willing to come together as a community to do that? That's the bigger question. And I think, again, look, a fair trade is not a robbery. If you get the game that you want to play, but you got to put your own money up to do so, that's not a robbery. It's a fair trade. Each side is getting the thing that they want. You're getting to play the game, and the bill is being fit, from you guys. You guys are fitting the bill when it comes to being able to keep the game up and going. But let's continue on with your email. God, dog, that's a lot of darn money, man. $1 million a year. He says, okay, quote, the specific licensing cost for the Warhammer Online Age of Reckoning IP was not publicly disclosed by Games Workshop or Mythic Entertainment. While general industry licensing fees for major IP often sit between 10 to 25% of revenue, the exact financial terms of this 2000 era agreement remain confidential. Man, and you got to pay licensing fee. God, dog. So wait a minute. Am I understanding this correct, Cody? And please do a follow-up email on this. They would have had to have allegedly, possibly paid the $1 million a year to keep Warhammer Online going. And they would have also had to have paid, on top of that, the licensing for the IP as well, which could have been anywhere from 10% to 25% as well. So $1 million a year plus up to 25% for the IP licensing fees for Warhammer. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. Man, oh man. So he says, who would cover that? Oh, here we go. Who would cover that cost if EA stepped away and said, okay, players, you do you. That's what I'm saying. That's all I was saying, Cody. I'm with you. 1,000%. I understand exactly what you're talking about. And I know that this all is leading back to this stop killing games movement that's happening right now. But yeah, that's the bigger question. Is anybody else going to step up and do what's necessary to keep it going? He continues to say, stop killing games is great in theory, but there are also issues of ownership, licensing, and territories. Cali has different state laws from New Mexico versus Maryland. And Maryland, my gosh, man, we're the most taxed state, I think, in the doggone country. Man, our taxes are ridiculous here. But let me continue on, man. I just hit a nerve a little bit there, Cody. He says, and they have to bow to federal laws. Japan and the U.S. have treaties, but that is why there are Japan-only PS5s, and you have to sneak them out of the country. Really? Hey, you got to be bull jiving me. Hold on. So I'm not trying to go down a rabbit hole here, Cody. But are you saying that the PS5s over in Japan are region locked? Because I thought that we were away from all of the region lock stuff, unless I'm just reading too far into what you're saying. Let me read that again. He says Japan and the U.S. have treaties, but that is why there are Japan-only PS5s, and you have to sneak them out of the country. EU has different laws. Man, that'd be crazy if that's true. Hopefully, Cody, you joking about that one, my brother. He says, we don't own the code. We don't own the IP. We don't own the music or the video codec. Ah, man, Cody, God dog it, brother. Ah, man, I know you're right about that, but, man, that stings, man. God, dog, that stings. That we don't own any of it. All I got is a disc and a case. But the stuff that really matters, the code, the IP itself, the music, don't own any of it. Golly. He says, this feels like a vanity project for the main dude to get a bunch of investors to make a special interest lobby that pays him a buttload of cash. And then he tries hard and fails and says, quote, sucks. Maybe next Congress session. Oh, my goodness. Now I need you to help me raise another $70 million. Cody Clark. Golly. Cody basically said, man, this guy's got a get rich quick scheme going on. Pretty much. Hey, man, how much is it to donate? I'm going to look it up. Stop killing games. Stop Killing Games movement. How much is it to donate? I'm curious to know. I want to go down a rabbit hole a little bit.
It sounds like you might be referring to the Stop Killing Games movement, which has been gaining a lot of traction lately regarding game preservation and consumer rights. If that's the one you're thinking of, it isn't a traditional charity that asks for a set donation amount. Okay. Instead, it is a global campaign focused on legal action and government petitions to ensure games remain playable after their servers are shut down. Here is a breakdown of how you can contribute or donate your support. 1. Cost to participate. Petitions and initiatives. There is no cost to sign the official government petitions, like the European Citizens Initiative. These are free and are the primary way the movement seeks to change the law. Voluntary donations. Some organizations involved in gaming preservation, like the Electronic Frontier Foundation or the Video Game History Foundation, accept donations of any amount, usually starting as low as $1 to $5, to fund legal fees and research. But these are optional. 2. Other gaming movements with donation tiers. If you meant a different charity or movement that uses gaming to...
Oh, no, I starting to trail off into some other stuff. Okay, well, Cody, I couldn't find a price per se. It looks like, at least up front, looks like it's free. You just got to sign up for the petition, trying to change the laws, for the consumer and things of that nature. But that's going to be a very, very tough fight because, again, it's a whole lot of legality in this stuff, breaking down the IP costs, the music, the licensing for cars, if they're using, real cars in it, the going to the record labels. There's a lot of different moving parts, when it comes to this. And I'm with you, Cody. I'm all for game preservation as well. I want to be able to go back at any point in time and play a game that I want to when I want to play it. And granted, I'm going to be honest with you, Cody, I highly doubt that I would go back to like 2005 to play a game and all that.
Move this man!
Listen, I'm just being honest. Cody, I 100% get it, my brother. 1,000%. Games should be preserved. It's history. It's the history of gaming itself. And it needs to be something that is always around. But, man, I'm... Cody! Man, I don't know, brother. I don't know. It's very, very interesting. I just hope that whatever they're seeking to do as far as changing the laws and, making sure that people that own these games actually have access to them, things of that nature, I hope it happens. And the whole time I'm sitting here, right, Cody, and we're talking with each other. I'm talking to you, brother. I'm saying to myself, and I hate to be this doggone person. My gosh, I do. And I'm saying to myself, man, back in my day, hey, Cody, back in our day, he didn't have any of these issues. The Nintendo, Super Nintendo, the Genesis, Turbo Graphics, any of that stuff, you just played the doggone game. It wasn't no online connection or anything like that. No 100-page licensing and agreement at the beginning of the game. Check the box and all of that stuff. You just got the game, put the game in the system, and you are off to the races. Nothing to download, no patches, no nothing. Just play the doggone game and have fun. And today, we are in a completely different landscape when it comes down to gaming. So this will be interesting, Cody. I don't know what's going to happen with this. I know, Cody, you like, man, it seems like this dude just trying to, get this movement going, and seems like it's just going to be a very, very hard uphill battle to actually get through. So I'm very curious to know what happens with this. I don't know what's going to happen. I think it's going to be many, many years in the making, though, to really get anything to change. Because, again, like we were talking about, Cody, at the end of the day, it's about who's going to fit the bill if you want this game to survive. If it's one of those online games. Matter of fact, you know what, Cody? I'm going to look it up right now, brother. That way you don't have to do a follow-up on it. I'm going to see what they say over here on Gemini. Hold on. I'm going to look it up right now. If a game is discontinued on one of the stores, say PlayStation Store or Xbox's store, if you own the game, whether digitally or physically, can you still play the game even if the game has been delisted? Let's see what they say, Cody. We'll get the answer.
The short answer is yes. In the vast majority of cases, you can still play a game you already own even after it has been removed, delisted, from the storefront. However, there are a few fine print details that vary between digital and physical copies. Here's how it works on PlayStation and Xbox as of 2026. 1. Digital purchases. The license rule.
There we go.
When a game is delisted, it means it is no longer for sale to new customers. If you already bought it, you still own the license. Re-downloading. You can almost always find the game in your library, PlayStation, or full library-owned games, Xbox, and re-download it whenever you want.
That's
the
good.
exception, very rarely, a game is scrubbed entirely due to severe legal or technical issues, like the PT Silent Hills demo. In those cases, if you delete it, you can't get it back. Subscription games. If you own a game through PS Plus Extra/Premium or Xbox Game Pass, and it gets delisted/leaves the service, you cannot play it anymore unless you bought it separately. 2. Physical discs. The gold standard. Physical copies are generally the safest way to ensure you can always play a game.
Man,
plug and
that's
play.
what I'm saying.
As long as the disc is in the drive.
Hold on. Physical games matter. Did you hear what she said? I know she's an AI, but did you hear what Gemini said? It's the gold standard. Physical copies are generally the safest way to ensure you can always play a game. I ain't got to say it. I'm going to see if she says it.
The console recognizes it as your key to play.
Oh, darn,
even if the digital version is gone from the store, your disc will still trigger the installation. Patches and updates. This is where it gets tricky. If a game is delisted, the servers that hold the updates usually stay online for existing owners. However, if the company eventually shuts down those specific servers, like for very old legacy consoles, you might be stuck playing version 1.0 off the disc without any bug fixes. 3. The online-only trap.
Okay.
This is the biggest hurdle for the Stop Killing Games movement.
There we go.
If a game, like The Crew or certain live service shooters, requires a connection to a central server to function, it doesn't matter if you have the digital file or the physical disc. Once the developer shuts off the servers, the game becomes a paperweight or a brick because it can't call home to start the menu. Summary.
There we go. So that is the crux of the movement. And I'm sorry it took me so long to get here, Cody. My apologies, brother. I'm sure you said it clear as day that this was mainly a online issue of the games. And you even gave online examples of the game. Man, God, dog. God, dog. Man, that is absolutely embarrassing. Hey, Cody, I apologize, brother. I apologize for that.
Y'all killing me with this.
I'm sorry, Cody. My bad, brother. This brother gave multiple examples of what he was talking about. All online stuff. And I'm talking about everything but. That's what it is, though. I got you, Cody. I got you. Yeah, it's going to be tricky, man. I don't know. The game goes off unless you want to, I mean, not you, Cody, but unless the game player wants to do what it takes to get it back online and put the money up for the licensing and the IP licensing and all of that stuff, I don't know what to tell you. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, but see, I don't play online games. I don't think I'm going to have that worry, my brother Cody. I'm not really online with anything. But man, listen, that's tough. Anyway, Cody, as always, man, I really, man, this is a heck of an email right here, brother. Shout out to you. They said that online game becomes a paperweight. Thing is useless. God, dog. It did say, pro tip, if you have a digital game you love that is about to be delisted, the safest move is to keep it installed on your console or an external hard drive. While re-downloading usually works, having the files locally is the only way to be 100% sure. Gotcha. So just keep that in mind. And always remember, physical is the gold standard, guy. Oh, man. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's get into our final voicemail of the show, which, again, Mr. C. Jack, let me see if I can find you here, brother. You're going to take us home yet again, my good brother. Here we go.
What it do, Keys, man? It's your boy C. Jack, man. What's going on, big bro? Just getting back at you, man. I beat that Spider-Man game, man. Phenomenal game. Graphics was great. Gameplay was great. I had a little problem with the pacing of the game. And to your point of the ending, without any spoilers, I don't know why. I think you said something about the ending. I just feel like Peter Parker wouldn't have done it at the ending, but that's just my thought, But overall, it was a great game.
Shout out to you, C. Jack. I always appreciate these voicemails, my brother. Always, man. Yeah, I thought this Spider-Man 2 was a fantastic game. I thought that, like you said, the ending, man, well, that's the thing. You know what, though, C. Jack? I will say, man, I thought that how they had, with no spoilers, how they had Peter Parker moving, or Spider-Man moving, I think that how can I be, no spoilers, we'll just talk about the suit. We know what that suit was doing, and we know when, what was his name? I think Harry, when he had the suit, we saw what was going on. So I think that was kind of on point as far as, I'm not the biggest comic book, lore fan with Spider-Man or anything like that. But I think that was kind of on point for what he did. I'm trying to remember what happened in the ending, though, C. Jack. It's been a couple of years now since I've played it. But it was oh, man. All right, this is getting ready to be a spoiler. I try not to do these, so I want to give a big, huge warning before we go into this, and you might want to fast forward, maybe about 2 minutes, maybe 3 to be on the safe side, because this is about to be all spoilers right now for Spider-Man 2. So here we go. Spider-Man spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Please click off if you do not want this thing spoiled. So here we go. Fast forward 3 minutes and we'll be fine. Here we go. So my main issue, C. Jack, with the game, it wasn't necessarily the literal ending of the game, but it was the fighting of the boss multiple times. That stuff was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Mary Jane, when she actually, turned into whatever that creature was, brother, at the end, I was like, I'm tired of fighting this thing. It's like, at this point in time, we should only had 1, maybe 2 at the most, confrontations with each other. At this point in time, I just feel like they're just trying to pad out the game. And that was the part that really got on my nerves, C. Jack, having to do that boss fight over and over and over again. I was like, man, this is ridiculous. I'm like, man, it just went completely off a cliff to a certain degree for me, C. Jack, when it came down to that. But as far as the way Peter Parker was acting and Spider-Man getting all cocky and, thinking he was better than everybody and, saying sideways stuff to Miles and all of that, I thought that was on track. I thought that was dope. I thought it was so dope to see that dark side of the character. Well, not the dark side of the character, but what he could be as almost like a villain. I really enjoyed that part of it, C. Jack. I thought that was dope. And I couldn't stand that Joker. Man, Spider-Man was a op. That joker turned into the ops as that whole story arc was playing out. I was like, man, this guy is a jerk. I can't stand this dude. So I really enjoyed that part of it, C-Jack. Overall, like you said, I know you said that the game, you really enjoyed it overall. It was a good game. It was solid. I thought the same thing. I thought I would give it, I think I gave it like an 8, maybe an 8.0, somewhere around there. I thought it was a very, very solid game, very solid outing. Okay, that's the end of the spoilers. If you came back, I don't even think it's been 3 minutes, but if you did come back, that's the end of the spoilers. But yeah, I thought that it was solid. I liked the way that they put it together for about 75% of the game. The boss fight in the beginning, you know, I thought, oh man, I thought that was so tough. Goodness, I thought that was so dope the way they did that. So, yeah, overall, it was solid. I'm glad. Matter of fact, man, shout out to you, C-Jack, for beating the game as well, brother. Heck yeah, man. Shout out to you for even beating it, man. You know, so I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad that it was a good playthrough. I really did enjoy it myself a lot. You know, it was just that last bit. They kind of lost me, man. But graphically, woo-wee. Man, that thing is a beaut. That thing was beautiful, brother. Yes, indeed. But C-Jack, please, as always, my good brother, keep the emails coming. Keep the voicemails coming. And I will say, man, I got to tell you, C-Jack, your audio has been really, really clear the last couple of weeks. It sounds really, really great. So whatever you're doing to keep it that clear, man, definitely keep that up. So shout out to you, C-Jack, again, for all of your support. Always writing in, calling in. It's greatly, greatly appreciated, my brother. And I look forward to, if you can, hearing from you next week as well, man. Shout out to you. And Mr. Cody Clark, you know I can't forget about you. You've been around since, gosh, man, we're talking about years when the show was in its infancy. Mr. Cody Clark has been around, and he's always been consistently helping to keep this segment of the podcast alive, because it was one point in time where I used to do this inside of the regular podcast, but then I was like, I don't know if people necessarily want to hear, you know, listener feedback with the regular show. So why not just dedicate a whole show, you know, to you guys, you great listeners out there? Why not just have something strictly for y'all? But Cody had been holding us down for a very, very long time on his own as well. So Cody, for that, my brother, keeping this segment alive, because I'm going to tell y'all, it was a couple of times I thought, man, I just need to cut this segment. Nobody's writing in. Nobody's calling in. I guess nobody really wants it. But Cody, every time I'd be about to pull the plug on it, Cody would always write in, man. So Cody, for that, my brother, literally keeping this part of the podcast alive, my brother, I have to shout you out and give you the utmost respect for keeping this as a segment inside of the Analog Circle podcast. So shout out to you, my brother. Thank you so much. Man, so with that being said, that's it for this one. That is it for this episode. And as always, I truly want to thank y'all, you know, the listeners out there, for tuning in. Listen, I'm going to be honest with y'all. It seems like y'all kind of like this show a little more than the regular show. This one be getting a lot of attention, a lot more attention when I look at the numbers, listener feedback. So, man, obviously, you know, you guys have been enjoying it. And again, shout out to Cody Clark and C-Jack, Crimson Phoenix, you know, for writing in as well. I know that brother said he had to go on a hiatus for a while, but that's all good, man. We got your spot waiting for you, brother, when you decide to come on back. But yeah, it's just, just so appreciative, man. I'm so appreciative of you guys for continuing to show the support. And as long as you guys keep writing in, keep calling in, this will always be around for y'all, for the listeners. And I want to just hear back from you guys. The feedback is always great. Love the conversations, just you guys' thoughts. It's very, very important to me, and I'm just appreciative to y'all. So shout out to the listeners. Shout out to the participants that always participate in this show, because without any of y'all, this thing does not exist one bit. So shout out to all of you guys for all of the support all across the board. So with that being said, guys, we're about to wrap this one up, but we will be back at it again on Wednesday. Oh, we got some very, very interesting PlayStation 6 news that we will be discussing. I think it's a feature that a lot of us that are PlayStation fans will be happy to see. Of course, it's not official, but this is going to be due to some documentation, some leaks. We'll get into it on Wednesday. But until Wednesday, you guys get out there, play some games, and enjoy yourself. See you guys next week. Y'all take care.